Shalom. We're back again with another lesson. And before I begin this lesson, I'd like to begin by giving all honor, glory, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Recha Kodash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, who I've learned this truth from. I want to say peace and salutations to you, Akim, you brothers out there laboring, pushing this word out in all truth and in sincerity, presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice, which is your reasonable service. I want to say shalom to you, Akwath, meaning you Israelite sisters out there that may be listening, and also to you Israelites that are scattered across the four corners of the earth. You may look like these other nations, but your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is the chosen seed line. Shalom to you. So I'm going to title this lesson, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, right? Now, as the world starts becoming increasingly more dangerous and uncertain, you're starting to see now on social media, the algorithm is pushing more content relating to women now looking for men and less content on women complaining about men. Like things like saying that they don't need a man. We're seeing that less and less, right? Now, the women are starting to change their tune a little bit. So when you listen to these clips, you're starting to hear that they're changing, the things that they're talking about, they're changing that a little bit. Now, to give you some examples of what I'm talking about, check out these clips.
I'm going to get vulnerable and talk about the weight of loneliness and being single. For some reason, this week has hit me very, very hard. The ability to take care of myself in itself is such an accomplishment and something to be proud of. But it's hard not to get hung up on the fact that every single decision, every single responsibility, everything falls on me. Big, small, medium, it doesn't matter. I have to do it all. I have to take care of it all. And there's no one to share that weight with. There's no one to say, hey, can you just take this and help me? It's all on me. And also, my friends, they're all married, they have kids, they're in a different stage of life, and I accept and respect that because I know everyone's journey is different. But even that makes me feel even more weight and even more pressure. Within that group, I just feel like I isolate myself more because I can't relate to their life stage, and it makes me feel like maybe I've done something wrong.
Something I've been thinking about lately in regards to singleness that I have a difficult time describing, especially to my married friends, is this concept that as a single woman, especially in my late 20s, I am no one's person. I'm no one's top priority. It can be really isolating and it can be really lonely. When I get big news, the first people I call are like my 2 or 3 closest friends and my mom. When any of those individuals get big news, the first people they call are their husbands. They have their go-to person. Therefore, if I have things, sometimes it has to take the back burner because they have their priorities with their family, and that's good. The fact of the matter is, as a single woman surrounded by all of my closest friends that are married, most of them having children, my family's all married, I am no one's top priority. I'm no one's person. I'm no one's, hey, did you get home safe? Hey, how was your day? I am not that for anyone. It can also be painful to feel like I'm not anyone's person.
I think there are people in this life who are genuinely happy being single, and I think that's great. But it sucks when you're not one of them, when you're a hopeless romantic, such as myself, and it just never seems to happen. I'm chronically single all the time. This is coming from someone who's very consistently single, very, very consistently single, and I mean years and years and years. And I don't love it. I don't love it. I want to find my person. I want to have someone to share my life with. And it just seems like I'm 27. It just seems like everyone around me has found it.
Such a lover girl in the wrong generation, and I absolutely freaking hate it. Like, so I'm single, like no roster single. And I tried to start like talking to people, and there's something wrong with all of everybody. Like, what's going on? What is going on? I think I might just go back in my little box, cause no, I don't like it.
Friend zoned by a guy at my work, and I really thought at some point, or there were some signs that he was kind of into me. I know you're thinking workplace crushes are a terrible idea, and maybe I'm just looking for some sort of ego boost to know if he actually liked me. Because even I know it would not be a good scenario for us to date anyways. We come from two different worlds. I don't know, certain things. He likes certain things. I don't think we'd be compatible, but we have great chemistry. You know how that goes. So anyways, I finally get him to really say what's going on. He's like, yeah, I see he's a friend and blah, blah, you're chill. And I was like, wow, so you really don't see me that way? And he's like, no, I just don't. And I'm like, okay, cool. So, my feelings are really
So
hurt right
now,
now.
as you can see, these women are starting to panic a little bit, right? It seems like they're panicking a little bit. The scriptures warn us about the prophecies and the judgments that are coming around the corner, and these women are starting to take notice, right? So we're going to read in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, and I'm going to start at verse 6, right? And it reads, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet," meaning that the people are starting to see these events taking place on the news, the mainstream media news, in social media, and they're paying attention to what's going on. Now, as we continue in verse 7, it says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places." You see? As we continue reading in verse 8, it says, "All these are the beginning of sorrows." So when you watch the mainstream media news or you go on social media, all you hear about is the wars that are taking place and the tensions rising in these regions. In Russia and Ukraine, you got that war, t- uh, uh, tensions rising. In the so-called Middle East, in the Levant region, you're seeing those tensions rising. You're seeing all these things happening in the world, and it's reported on the mainstream media news. Not only that, we're having a drought here in the UK. I don't know if it's the same in other parts of the world, but in the UK, there's a drought. So we're looking at famines. They're saying that there's food insecurities going on, that prices are going to or are set to increase towards the end of the year, the next couple of weeks, couple of months. The food prices are going to skyrocket, and we're already seeing signs of that. You see? So again, when we look at these things, we understand that this is prophecy that's speaking, right? So when you watch this, these are the conversations that I'm hearing from, mainly from women, when they're talking about the news and everything that's going on, because these women are locked in. They're locked into the headlines, they're locked into social media, they're paying attention. And we understand that this is part of prophecy, right? So I'm going to read in the book of Habakkuk, right? Chapter 2, I'm going to go straight to the point. This is Habakkuk chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 3, right? It says, "But the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry." And what that's saying is that the vision is yet for an appointed time, meaning the visions, the things that we've read in the scriptures, this is for an appointed time. And it reads, "But at the end it shall speak and not lie." So at the end, this is how we can get the confirmation that we're in the end times, because at the end it shall speak. And now people are starting to see these things with their own eyes, right? There's no denying it now. It says, "Though it tarry," and to tarry just means to delay, to wait, to take its time. It says, "Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry," meaning it's not going to delay. It's going to keep coming until it basically spirals out of control. And this is what's getting ready to happen in the earth, right? And this is why I see a lot of women paying attention to what's going on, and they're locked in, right? So as the time of war draws near, and more people are worried about these conflicts escalating, they're hearing about, boots on the ground in the Middle East. They're also speaking about nuclear weapons getting ready to be used, right? So it's getting these people nervous, right? Especially the women, because the women are like, "I don't want anybody to go to war. I don't want war to happen, but war is coming because it's prophesied to happen," right? So now, as we go to the scriptures, I'm going to read in the book of Isaiah, and we're going to read from chapter 3, right? And we're going to read from 25, right? So this is what it says. It says, "Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war." Now, what war is that referring to? That's referring to the Third World War, right? Because that's what we're getting ready to enter into, that time of global conflict. You see? So as we keep reading in verse 26, it says, "And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground." And to give you an idea of exactly what that's talking about, I mean, sit on the grounds, it says that you're going to be in a low state because, there'll be a drastic shortage of men, right? A lot of men are getting ready to die. They're about to be drafted to the war and they're about to give up the ghost, right? Because when them bombs start dropping, there's going to be death on both sides, right? So American soldiers are going to die, Iranian soldiers are going to die. There's going to be a very big shortage of men, right? So this is what these scriptures are telling us. And this is why we say a man shall be more precious than fine gold. So as we continue to read these scriptures, we're going to get a little bit into it because not only is the war coming, again, it also says that there's going to be wars, rumors of wars, famines, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. All of that's getting ready to come. So now we're going to read in the Apocrypha, right, in the book of Second Ezra, chapter 16, right? We're going to go to chapter 16 and we're going to read in verse 33. So this is Second Ezra 16 and 33. It says, "The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. The daughters shall mourn, having no helpers," because men are going to be scarce. There's going to be a very big shortage of men in the earth, right? So as we continue reading in verse 34, it says, "In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine." So you got the wars taking out men, you got the food shortages, because if the man's trying to, obtain some food, there's going to be a lot of fighting, civil war, all that stuff happening, and men losing their lives just trying to feed themselves, right? And their families. A lot of men are about to die, you see? So we can conclude that there's going to be a lot of death. A lot of death is on its way, and a lot of men are going to die. So you proud women that say, "Oh, well, we don't need men. We can do things on our own without men. Why do I need a man?" Well, you're about to find out. You're literally about to experience exactly what you've been asking for this whole time. You see? And, the Bible's about to show you that the Bible is real. You understand? So as we continue reading these scriptures, and I'm jumping through these scriptures because that's what the watchmen, are supposed to do. They're supposed to warn you of these things. Now, you proud women, you've been warned for a long time to stop being so proud. Stop acting like you can do it on your own. And you women just, these proud women, should I say, have just blocked up their ears and, whatever. We don't care. We don't want to hear what you have to say. We can do it without men. Well, we're about to find out, we're about to see, right? So I'm going to jump over to the book of Micah. This is the book of Micah, chapter 7, and we're going to read verse 10. It says, "Then she that is mine enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her which said unto me, Where is the Lord Yahweh thy power? Mine eyes shall behold her, now shall she be trodden down as the mire of the streets," right? So to go into that again, it says, "Then she that is mine enemy shall see it," right? Because right now, these proud women can't see the fact that they need men. We need each other. Men need women, women need men, right? But you have these proud women that basically are doing everything they can to destroy men, right? That's why the scripture says, "Then she that is mine enemy," right? You have these high divorce rates. Yeah, like these women are out here just living reckless. So the Lord is saying, "Then she that is mine enemy shall see it." And what's that? That she'll see. She'll understand in that time they're gonna need men, right? And it says, "And shame shall cover her which said unto me, Where is the Lord Yahweh thy power?" Right? So she's constantly saying, "Oh, where's, there is the woman is God, the woman is this, the woman is that." The woman is the creator of life. We're the most educated, the most, you know, uh, qualified. All these things that they say. Well, they're about to find out. Because it says, as we continue reading, it says, mine eyes, meaning my eyes, shall behold her, shall see her. Right? So mine eyes shall behold her. Now shall she be trodden down as the mire of the streets. Do you understand? The mire of the streets. These women, these proud women that shouted they don't need a man, they're going to be brought down to a very, very low state. They're going to be in dire straits, right? And they're going to be seeking help, but they're just going to be in a low state. Now, this is where the gold comes in, right? So when we turn back to the book of Isaiah and we go to chapter 13, right? We're going to read from verse 11. And it says, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible, right? So a lot of these proud women that just continue to run their mouth, they're about to, yeah, they're about to be judged for that. That's all that's going to be brought into judgment, right? And they brought it on themselves. So as we continue reading verse 12, it says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir, meaning the men of the Lord, the elect. They're the ones that's going to be protected in this time. The Lord's going to be dealing with them. He's going to be dealing with the elect men. So what that means for these women out here is that a man of the Lord is going to be the ultimate high value man because the Lord is going to be taking care of him, right? The elect man is going to be the only salvation for these women that are left over, right? And if he chooses you, right? Because a lot of you women, especially if you have children, are going to be rejected. So the man of the Lord, the elect man, is going to be your only form of salvation in that time, right? And if you have children, he may select you depending on your spirit. He may select you depending on how your children act as well. But if he don't want them kids, he's gonna have to want to have mercy on them kids. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's a wrap for you. So again, I'm gonna jump a little bit further ahead. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 32, right? We're gonna read in verse 2. See, it says, "And a man, a righteous man, an Israelite man, and a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land," right? So, all the things that we're about to experience during the time of Jacob's trouble and this third world war is going to be hell on you women, right? So I'm going to get a couple more scriptures and then we'll close it out there. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 32. I'm going to stay in chapter 32, but I'm going to jump down to verse 9. And it reads, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. So in other words, it's saying, rise up, you women, like listen up, you women that are at ease, the ones that have lived lush, lived nicely on this side, right? It says, hear my voice, ye careless daughters, right? So it's saying, listen up, you careless women that are just living out here. You don't really care about the men you're with. You're just using them. It says, listen up and hear my speech. Verse 10, it says, many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Meaning, the Lord is not going to allow you to continue to strip the resources of these men through your divorce courts, through your child support, through alimony, all these things. The Lord's getting ready to strip that away from you. So the vintage is not going to come. Meaning that, you going out there seeking men and easily getting men and defrauding these men, it's not going to happen anymore. That's why a lot of you women are struggling right now with singleness, because the Lord is putting the spirit on these men to stay away from you, right? Because that time of your judgment is coming, right? So as we continue reading, verse 11 says, tremble, you women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins, right? So tremble, you women are at ease. You see all the things that are happening in the world? The Lord is telling you to tremble. All you women that have lived comfortably, tremble. Be troubled, you careless ones, because he's calling you careless. Your actions are careless. When you do these things, you set men up to be robbed. You do all these things. Like, this is the mind state of a lot of these modern women these days. They don't care about men. So the Lord's about to make you care, right? It says, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins, meaning the Lord's getting ready to strip you and make you bare. Like, you're going to go through it, right? I'm going to jump now to the book of Isaiah, chapter 4. And we're going to read from verse 1. This will be the last scripture, then I'll close it out here. But this is Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. Because when you're going through that time of trouble, you're going to be looking for a man, right? You're going to be begging for a man. And not just any man. You're going to be looking for the ultimate high value man, which is a man of the Lord, an elect man of the Lord, because you're going to understand that the Lord is dealing with him, you know? And you're going to want to be with that man. So this is what it says. Isaiah 4 and 1 says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. You see? So it says, let us only let us be called by thy name. How do you get called by somebody's name? You get that through marriage, right? And that means you're going to be wanting to deal with a man, because obviously when you look at the scriptures, when you lay down with a woman, that becomes your wife, right? That's how you get somebody's name. You consummate the marriage. You get married, right? Consummate the marriage. Now, it says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, because it's going to be so bad out here for a lot of these women that they're not going to care about other women being in the marriage as well. See? They're going to learn to share. And if a man wants to have multiple wives, multiple women, he can do that. And the Lord's going to allow it to happen. Everything's going to go back to its natural order, right? And if you have a problem with that, then what's going to end up happening is you're going to be rejected. You're going to be kicked out. You're going to have to deal with everything that's on the way. And that's something you don't want to do. You don't want to kick out and get rid of a man of the Lord when, you know, the Lord is looking after that man. You know what I mean? You don't want to get rid of that, because then your protection's gone. You know, and this world's going to get crazy, and I'm talking about in the sense of you're going to have marauders of heathen out here looking for women, snatching them up, 2/3 snatching up these women. You know, that's what's getting ready to happen in the earth, right? So you'd want to have the protection of a man of the Lord in that time. So that's why when it says, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, right? And when it says 7 there, it's not literal 7 women. It's talking about a complete number, because the number 7 represents completion. So if that man wants 50 wives, then he can have 50, right? If he wants, 1,000, whatever the case, the number that he's looking for, that's what he can have, right? So, you know, that's why I say, a man shall be more precious than fine gold, because the Lord is getting ready to make that a reality for a lot of women, because you've lived deliciously, you've lived proud, and now the Lord's getting ready to answer that. You're going to get judged for that, right? So, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I pray that this lesson has been edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, where I've learned this truth from. I want to say peace and salutations to you hopeful elect. It's on to the next lesson, Lord willing. Shalom.